let's do an example. Let's start with the example from the book. I rarely do this, but this time I'm going to. They have a to the third plus 2a squared b plus 2ab squared plus b to the third, and they want you to divide by a plus b. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a plus b. We're going to put it in parentheses, and then we're going to put an old-fashioned long division thing here. A to the third plus 2a squared b plus 2ab squared plus b to the third. What you're going to do is you're going to divide the first term by the divider of the first term here. What would a to the third divided by a be? A squared. So we're going to put a squared underneath the second one, but because there's two terms here, when I multiply back through, okay, there's going to be two terms here. So that's why it's put right there. So everybody, put your pencils down. This is in the book, so you can write it from there. So what am I going to do now? Just like in long division, what is this times this? Guys, understand what we're doing here is just doing a squared times a plus b. We're just not writing it in this form to figure out what goes down here. We're going to multiply those two. So a to the second times a is a to the what? See how we want this term to go away. That's the one you take care of first. Whatever happens over here happens over here. Does that make sense? Okay, a to the second times b to the second leaves me what? So plus a to the second b. Now, come in.
Do you guys have any?
No. Okay, let's go. Go. All right. Now, when you get to this point, you change the sign. Or you subtract. So in other words, that becomes negative. This positive becomes what? So what does this become? This goes to what? I said don't write. It's in the book, didn't I? Put your pencils down. 2a squared b minus a squared b. Are these like terms?
Yes.
What, all I should be up here. What do I get? That's 1ab squared, correct? So what do I get down here? 1 what? Squared b. Okay. Subtract and bring down. See how I brought this down? Brought that down. Okay. Look at the first term. Divide this by this. What would I have to multiply a by to get 1a squared b? Well, if I multiplied a times what gives me a squared? Right? A times what gives me b? B, right? And then 1 times 1 gives me 1, right? So that's what needs to go there. So now we're going to multiply through. Now we're doing this. So we're multiplying through. So when you multiply through, you get 1a squared b here, don't we? If we're doing this right, I should get the same thing when I multiply back through, shouldn't I? That's the whole idea. Well, now let's see what we get. A times b is just, well, plus a. B times b is what? B what? Squared. And that's it, right? Now I subtract. What do these two go to? 0. So did I do it right? 2ab squared minus ab squared gives me what? 1ab squared. Bring this down plus what? B to the what? Third. Now, I ask myself the same thing. I need this first term to be the same. Does everybody understand that? So, a times what would give me ab squared? First of all, 1 times 1 gives me 1. A times what would give me ab squared? Can anybody tell me? If I multiplied a times b squared, I'd get ab squared, wouldn't I? So that's why that goes there. So now 1 times 1 is 1. A times b squared is a, and then bring down your b squared, right? Are these the exact same thing? Then you know you did it right. Now your next step, b squared times b gives me what? Plus what? B to the what? Third. Nice thing, they're exactly the same. Now I subtract by changing the sign of everything. I get 0 here, I get 0 here. So, there's no remainder, and that's your answer. Write that down. Anybody tell me how you would check this? You check this, and I want you guys to do the check on your own. A plus B times whatever you got as an answer. What'd you get as an answer? A squared plus what? AB plus B squared. If you did this right, you should get this as an answer, should you not? So you guys try that out and see what you get. When I multiplied back through, that's what I got. A to the third plus 2a squared b plus 2ab squared plus b to the third. Have you been sitting up there the whole time, or you just move up there?
Just moved up here.
Okay, good.
See that?
That's fine. I was trying to figure if I messed up with my roll. Those of you who want to know the next one we're going to do, it's that one right there. and it's in the book too. All right, guys, here's one thing here. When you have something like this is a little special. Can you tell me why? Well, what degree is this monomial right here? And then there's just a constant. If you'll notice the one we did up here, it was kind of in order, wasn't it? It's important that you think of these, when you're going to divide it by something like this, when you divide this, okay, your problem's going to look like this: x squared minus x minus 2, all of that divided into, when you write this, you write x to the 4th, okay, but then you put plus 0 x to the 3rd, plus what? 0x, what would be next? To the 2nd, plus 0x to the what? 1st, and now you can go minus what? Okay? It's kind of like if you try to do long division and you wrote 5 million divided by 20, and you went 20 divided by 5. That would be way wrong, wouldn't it? You guys get what I'm getting at? Don't write this down, but if you said, you know, 5 million divided by 20, and you wrote this. Makes sense? You're leaving a lot of places out, aren't you? You'd have to put, because the million told you a bunch of other places, you'd have to add 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the number you're going to divide by, right? Even though we didn't write the x to the 3rd place, the x to the 2nd place, the x to the 1st place, we have to write it in here when we're doing long division. Does that make sense? Okay. If I'm multiplying times a, what is this, a binomial, a trinomial, a monomial? Trinomial. Put the phone up. Or don't sleep, whichever one it is you're doing. I'm going to put it, how many places am I going to take up here? 1, 2, what? So it's going to go right here. So I have to take care of the first term first, always. X squared times what is x to the 4th? Anybody?
X squared.
Right. But I put it right here. Why? Because when I multiply through, I'm going to have how many places? 1, 2, what? 3 places, aren't I? Make sense? So now x squared times x squared gives me x to the what? Everybody see what I'm doing there? X squared times negative x would give me a negative x to the what? X squared times negative 2 would give me a what? Negative 2 what? Squared. Now, what did I say we're always going to do? Change the what? Because we're going to subtract them. So that becomes negative. This now becomes what? Positive. A negative of a negative becomes what? So when I subtract these, this goes to 0, and what is here? X to the what? 3rd plus what? 2x what? Squared. Any question there? So what's my next step?
But you bring down the,
I bring down the plus 0x to the 1st and minus 16, right? Bring all that down. Everybody understand there? Now, I have to say to myself, x to the 2nd times what is x to the 3rd? X to the what? Wouldn't x to the 1st times x to the 2nd be x to the 3rd? X to the 1st times x to the 2nd, x to the 3rd. So now I'm keep multiplying through though. X to the 1st times negative x will give me a negative what? X what? Squared? Positive x times negative 2x would give me a negative 2 would give me a negative 2x. You guys see that? Now, as I change the sign of everything, what happens? That goes to 0. This becomes what? Became a positive, so this becomes a 3x squared plus what? 2x minus 16 to bring that down, correct? Questions? Well, x squared times what would give me 3x squared as an answer? X squared times what would give me 3x squared as an answer? Can you guys tell me? How about just 3? Because 3 times x squared would give me 3x squared, right? Now it's just a matter of multiplying it out and see what else you're left with. So 3 times x squared is 3x squared. So we did that right. They're the same. 3 times negative x would be a negative what? 3x. 3 times negative 6 would give me a what? Or negative 2 would give me a negative 6, correct? Don't forget, what do I do now? Change the sign. So now this goes to 0. This becomes what? 5x, and this becomes minus what? Now, when you're done, what's your answer now? What is this called? There's nothing left to divide, is there? What do we call this when we used to do? This is a remainder. So your answer is what? X squared plus x plus 3, and then you write the word remainder 5x minus 10. When it's all said and done, is that hard? Not really. Now, what do you think the chances of me even giving you any credit if you have just an answer on something like this? Yeah, that's a joke, right? The good news, look to your right. How many problems are there? I know I've got it frozen. How many are there? Oh, sorry. 20. However, so you've got 20 long division ones to do. Here's the deal. I know this will take a while.
Where's 1 through 8? You went first, right?
Okay? You're going to do numbers 1 through 20. They're all long division. I could possibly give a work day tomorrow.